Hey everyone, it's Kelly. I am so excited to be back today sharing my very first Project Life process video with you all. So for this week's spread, I did not have a kit in mind that I wanted to use. I have mentioned in a previous video that I do subscribe to a few different kits. I subscribe to the Studio Calico Documenter Kit, the LA Studio Kit, and I also subscribe to the Citrus Twist Life Crafted Kit. But I didn't really have any product that was really jumping out at me that I wanted to use. So I thought it would be fun to go through some of my scrapbooking product to find some items to use that would match my photos. And I had actually just purchased some of the Pink Paislee Paige Evans Bloom Street collection, and it was laying out on my desk, and I thought that it matched really well with these photos. So I actually decided to use that for this week's spread. So in the die cut pack of the Bloom Street collection, there are some larger pieces that actually work really well for Project Life. I'm not sure how I would use some of those pieces in 12 by 12 scrapbooking, so I thought that it was fun that I was able to use them in my Project Life spread. And I'm just going through some of the die cuts, and I also will use some of the floral die cuts. I use some of the stickers from the sticker sheet and the sticker book, but I'm just trying to figure out placement. This is a very raw process video. I had no plans in place when I started this process video other than knowing which photos I was going to use and that I was more than likely going to be using the Bloom Street collection. I'm a very slow project lifer. It takes me a really long time to get my spreads done, but I enjoy the process immensely. So it does not bother me that it takes me a long time to get these spreads to come together. I think my video footage was an hour and a half long, and I'm totally fine with that. I love going through the product, and I love shifting things around and using my typewriter, and it's just a lot of fun for me. So I don't mind at all that it takes a while. I know some people really like Project Life because they feel like it's a quick process, but for me, it definitely is not. I use the same concepts in Project Life as I do with my 12 by 12 scrapbook layouts. I try to make sure that the colors are evenly spaced out and that just the design, visual triangles, everything that I would use with 12 by 12 scrapbooks, I use with Project Life. Now, the only difference with my Project Life is I do double page spreads. I never do double page layouts, and I don't care if the product matches in my 12 by 12 scrapbooks with my layouts, but for my Project Life, it is important to me to make sure that it looks cohesive across the board. So I want to make sure that these pages do match when they are laying next to each other in the album because it is for the same week. And I can't remember if I mentioned, but I'm documenting week number 22 here, which is, I have the spread next to me so I could make sure I get the dates right. It is May 27th through June 2nd. Now, because this is a scrapbook collection and it is not a Project Life kit, I was short a few cards for the week in the 3x4 area. So I went through my stash of cards, and I do have a pretty large stash of cards, especially for someone who's never done Project Life before. But occasionally I would purchase some Week in the Life kits. I used to subscribe to Hip Kit Club, and I was actually a member of their design team for a term, and I would receive the Project Life kits when I was subscribed to their kits. And so a few of these cards mixed in here, I believe, are from older Hip Kit Club kits. And I just needed to add in just a few areas so I could add some smaller photos on top of those 3x4 photos. And I do like to use a variety of sizes in my Project Life, so not all of the photos are necessarily the same size. I'm totally fine with that. I like the variety that that gives. I'm also using the 6x8 paper pad to add some pattern paper and color behind some of these elements that were a little bit smaller than 3x4 or 6x4. And I just like that extra pop of color. I also like, since it's all from the same collection, it looks like it actually belongs together and that it was actually made that way versus me trying to take a scrapbook collection and make it work for Project Life. And I do want to apologize for the exposure compensation where it keeps getting bright and then it darkens up a little bit. I'm not used to working with my camera zoomed out so far. Normally I'm working on a single 12 by 12 layout versus working on a double page spread. So I'll have to check and see if there's a setting in my camera that I can use to make that compensation a little bit better. If you know of a trick, please let me know. I use a Canon G7X to record my process videos. So if you're aware of anything that I can do with my camera settings, I would greatly appreciate any feedback. I also prefer to add journaling to my 3x4 cards and my 4x6 cards using my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter. I just prefer type journaling on my spreads, totally a personal preference. I also include a lot of journaling on my photos before I print them. And I did record a tutorial using PicMonkey showing you how I add text and how I add a white border to my 4x6 photos. I will include a link to that video if that's something you're interested in checking out. I did receive some feedback from people asking for more PicMonkey tutorials, but I'm also curious if you prefer the tutorials to be included within the process video or if you like to have them separately. That tutorial that I recorded was about 8.5 minutes long, so it would have made this video extra long. So I decided to go ahead and include it separately. I thought that it might also be easier to find, to reference, and for me to categorize within my playlists on YouTube. But please let me know. I want to make those videos and I want people to watch the videos. So I want to do whatever's going to be easiest and what most people prefer to have done and how they would prefer to watch it. Stamping is something else that I consistently use throughout my Project Life spreads. Stamps are something that I've really been investing in. I had quite a few stamps that were more for card making, but I wanted stamps that could really be used for Project Life, so more day-to-day sentiment type stamps. So I do use quite a few stamps on this spread. If you're interested in which stamps I use, please let me know. I'm more than happy to include links to those. I do use stamps on this spread from a variety of different companies. I use Citrus Twist. I believe, Everyday Explorers. I have some Studio Calico that I will be using as well. I included that part before where I was using the Misty to stamp that solid image. I tend to use my Misty if I'm stamping something that has a solid background because a lot of the times I don't get a good impression the first time and need to repeat stamp it. So I wanted to show you that part of the process. I don't actually end up using those stamped images on this layout. It didn't end up working out quite like I had hoped it would, but I did want to include some of the parts of the video where I try something and it just doesn't work out. I think that that is sometimes helpful to see that a project can go through multiple phases before it actually gets to the end result. Now I'm just layering up that journaling piece onto a couple pieces of pattern paper from the 6x8 paper pack. I felt like I needed a pop of green in that bottom left-hand corner, but I felt like the dark green right behind that greenish color die cut, it was just too dark. So I ended up adding a striped rainbow paper underneath kind of as an in-between layer, and I think that that really helped kind of mute that a little bit, but still gave me the green that I needed in that corner. So this little journaling piece here had this cute flower icon on it, but my photo was covering up a little bit of that and I didn't want to cover any of it up. I had already trimmed my photo down as small as it would go, so I decided to go ahead and take my craft knife and just cut out a couple of those petals, just kind of trace along the edge with my craft knife, and then I'm able to tuck the photo underneath the petals so you can still see the entire flower image on that card. I feel like it just adds a little bit more detail, makes the card a little bit more interesting. I don't know if it's something that somebody would notice right away, that it would jump out at them, but I like that extra little detail. Included in the die cut pack were a few of these little icons or die cuts that had these arrows that pointed down, and there was a little spot for journaling. And I happened to have this collage of 3 pictures of my kittens sitting in the window, and it's kind of a repetitive photo. There's one where they're looking out the window, then there's one where the cat's kind of looking out towards me, and then there's one where I don't know what happened, but they happened to get mad at each other for a second and they were getting ready to fight. So I thought it would be fun to use all 3 of those die cuts, and I just used some alpha stickers from the sticker book and added these crazy cats on top of the photo. I felt like it just added some visual interest to the photo and just made it a little bit more fun. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do some more stamping. I do prefer to use the scrapbook.com premium dye ink to stamp directly onto my photos. Sometimes I will use an archival ink, like this card had more of a slick surface, so I did use some archival ink to stamp this onto that card, so that way it reads "Remember This." And like I said, if you're interested in the exact stamps that I use, please let me know and I will include links to those. But while I finish embellishing this layout, I always enjoy hearing the story behind the photos that the scrapbookers that I'm watching as they're creating their videos just kind of give a little bit of insight to what they're documenting. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of talk about the photos a little bit. I'm going to start on the left-hand side. The top photo on the, so not my title card, but the photo next to it, that's actually a picture of one of the offices that I work at. I work in dental, and the doctor that I work for has 2 locations, so I travel back and forth between the 2 locations. I'd actually never taken a photo of the office before, so I took a photo of one of the offices that I was working at and just included a little bit of journaling about that day. The photo that's on top of that pink card there, that is actually a screenshot of a new vacuum sweeper that I bought from Amazon. And I just included in the journaling that you know you're an adult when you're excited about a new vacuum, because I was so excited to get a new vacuum. Our previous one was not working very well and I couldn't wait to get a new one. The photo next to that is going to be a picture of my dog. He was asleep on the couch and he had his head kind of rested on the couch, kind of funny to where it was pulling up on his lips. And so his teeth were showing. And I just thought it was kind of a funny picture of him. On that Remember This card, that is actually a screenshot that I took off of Facebook. That was after George Floyd was murdered. And it is of some of the protests that took place in a town that is very near to us. And I just took a screenshot of one of the news stations reporting on that because it is something that I definitely want to include in my project life. I didn't realize going into 2020 that it was going to be such an unprecedented year. And I am so thankful that this was the year that I decided to document using Project Life and that I've been able to stay up to date and current because my journaling is very much in the moment. And it's something that this is a year that I think will always be remembered. It's going to be a year that goes down in history. So I am thankful that I am capturing it as things are happening. The photo next to that is actually a picture of me getting my hair done. It was the first time that I had been to the salon since the COVID shutdown. So I just have some journaling that I included on that photo. On the bottom left is a picture from my family's restaurant. My husband's family owns a restaurant, so I was in there on a Friday, so I snapped a picture of the grill, and then I also snapped a picture with some of my friends that were working and just included some journaling there. On the right-hand side of the spread, I have a photo of my Stitch Fix that I received. I have a photo of some coffee that I was drinking, photo of my cat. The lilacs were blooming at home, so I included a photo of those as well. We also had some drastic change in temperatures this month, so I included a screenshot from one of the weather stations. Also took a photo of my coffee brewing in the morning and what I like to include in my coffee. And then, as I mentioned, I have the 3 pictures of the cats. So that wraps this up. Here's some still shots where you can see it in a little bit more detail. I do have to be zoomed out pretty far so that way you can kind of see the whole spread coming together. I do not work on a page at a time. I work on it as a whole. So I want to make sure that you can see both sides as I'm working. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, leave a comment. That's the only way that I know that these type of videos are enjoyed and something that you would like to continue seeing. So please let me know if it's something that you enjoy, and I will continue making more of these process videos. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching.